Yo, what's good? Maximus here. Yo, it's funny. I was having a talk. Now, person I was talking with, they politically don't necessarily agree with my perspective. But they agree with one thing that I'm saying, which is a very valid thing. And I'll mention this about New York City in the last video because New York stacks the deck to make it very difficult for anybody that isn't of the upper class to really function in this city. Now, granted, you can make things happen. Lord knows I found ways to make things happen and all that stuff, but in reality, for the typical average working person, it's just not like that. Let me tell you something. In reality, I don't give a fuck about a Republican. I don't give a fuck about a Democrat. I don't give a fuck about an independent. Me, I'm an independent. I don't give a fuck. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, we all just want what we feel we're entitled to as being American citizens, tax-paying American citizens. We want to be able to live, love, and laugh, enjoy our lives, raise our children, be able to put food on the table, so on and so forth. As long as we are putting forth the effort and, for example, going to work every day and doing what we got to do, we should be afforded these liberties. The fact of the matter is that that's not what's happening out here. The fact of the matter is that what's really happening out here is things that get more and more expensive. I mean, big whoop, the gas prices have finally not been completely ridiculous. They're only partially ridiculous at the moment. This isn't a Biden thing. This isn't a Trump thing. This is a government thing, okay? Presidents are figureheads that are there for about 4 to 8 years, and that's it. Our problem is with the legislative branch, and that is where a lot of the issues that we complain about every day, the fact that, once again, New York City rent is raised up by another percentage as if it isn't already beyond through the roof. And a lot of the other things, the cost of food, the cost of electricity, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. All these things are based on laws that are written, which then in turn either allow a company to add cost to something or it adds a tax to something. How do we live in a country that's supposed to be one of the richest countries in the world? All this power we so called have. Well, we have countries that earn way less than us, whose GDP probably is equal to New York City by itself. And somehow, some way, they can afford to give free health care to their citizens. Their schools can have some semblance of adequate infrastructure. Our Board of Ed is terrible. And Project 2025 ain't gonna help that, by the way. It's just gonna disband it and make it a whole Christian nationalist thing. I'm not gonna get into all that right now, but I'm gonna tell you I ain't for that. And it's just tiring to me. My idea, and for those of you who are still listening, I want y'all to listen closely. I think all these little politicians that keep coming up with shit that just makes life more difficult for average working class citizens. Like I said, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, whatever. If you going to work every day and you busting your ass, and there are times where you're looking like, damn, I made all this money, the fuck did it go? And then you remember that it costs fucking $20 to eat a Happy Meal sometimes. Yeah. If that is you, and you're tired of that shit, what we should do is fire all of the politicians currently active, be it Republican, Democrat, or otherwise. What we should do is put regular working class people in charge so that things can operate under the terminology and under the thinking of those that are currently living it. Because I think the problem is a lot of these politicians, they live above average lifestyles. So they forget what it is like to be in the trenches, to have to work 12 to 14 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, just to keep food on the table for you and your family, and then still maybe looking up sometimes and still can barely make rent or anything else because maybe one or two things happen that you just wasn't prepared for. To know that you can't even afford to save money for your own goddamn retirement after you finish working 60 to 70 hours a week for 20 to 30 fucking years. This shit is enough. It's enough. I'm sorry. Like, I'm happy to live in America and I love this country. I do. But a lot of that shit that happens shows that they have just become disassociated with what American citizens are really going through on a daily. That's why we have extremists to the left following Trump and all the crazy things he's doing, extremists to the right following this one and all the things he's doing. Like, the reason why all of that stuff has happened, the reason why everything feels so divided is because people react in extreme ways, and there really is no right way to go about this because both sides are wrong. In reality, both sides are wrong for being extreme to the right or to the left. In reality, the real problem is that this is just people being reactionary because they're tired, because they're fed up, because they feel like they've been cheated, they've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray. Enough is enough. America, you talk about making America great again, for who? Because it ain't been great for us for like ever. If you're black, you spent more time being on the bottom of the totem pole than ever. The moment we got a little bit of opportunity, people start crying, oh my God, we don't just have it all to ourselves, we have to share now, it's not fair. Let's go extreme. And you blame it on us because we're getting a few opportunities, all of a sudden that's why you're struggling. No. It's the policies that are constantly put in place, not to benefit white, not to benefit black, but to benefit green. And those who have the green are those who are enjoying these benefits. That is where your problem lies. That is the problem. It's not the immigrants coming into the country and all this. Listen, all of that shit is a smokescreen to keep you distracted from what's really going on, y'all. It's a smokescreen. Meanwhile, they're robbing this shit from you while raping you until you ain't got no money left. And then once you drop dead, they push you to the side, throw somebody else in your spot to keep that wheel turning. Reminds me of an episode of, what was the name of that show? I think it was like, I forget what it's called. Something like The Twilight Zone, but it's a show on Netflix. But basically the person, it just was people constantly pedaling these bikes all the time. And once they ran out of energy to do that shit, they drop dead or something, they get rid of them, stick somebody else in that spot, and now they have access to stuff as long as they keep that bike pedaling. That's all we're doing here. We're all cogs in the wheel keeping this running for the few elites that truly get to enjoy the benefits of being in this country. Even those of you who think that you're living, you're not really living the way you should be for what you're doing. I want y'all to just be mindful of all this. I thank y'all for listening. I got so much more on this because this topic, this shit is enough. I'm probably going to do something on my podcast about this because it's exhausting. And it's something that needs to be discussed. Anyway, I'll holler at y'all. Peace. Let me go make some more money.